right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Parasyte the Maxim, episode 13.
All right, so Kana is dead.
And she is dead.
She is indeed dead. The fact that she survived that long was kind of impressive. But yeah, she's dead
now.
And Shinichi, he was the heartthrob. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
So, now, will they be able to go back to school life is the question. Like, I mean, they're still in school, but
I think the big thing is what is Shinichi going to be doing about the fact that he is aware his humanity is crumbling away? Like, what is his...
But it's not gone.
Oh, no, it's not gone.
Right.
But it is crumbling away.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I love that they're making that a conflict.
And how will he handle that?
Right.
How will Migi handle that? Because in some ways, Migi is, he's different than the way he was in the beginning of the show.
Migi's comforted Shinichi. Mm-hmm. Like, when would we have expected that to happen? Now, granted, it could just be Migi doing the smart thing of trying to address the emotional needs of his host, right? So that way, it's his host is functioning optimally, right?
Right. But the fact that he's aware and understanding of that
is something that he wasn't able to do before.
Yeah. So he's learning.
Uh-huh.
We have the political group that is basically a group of parasites that are trying to blend in, and they are trying to, in some ways, they have already succeeded in infiltrating human society in a way that puts them in a position of not necessarily just power, but where they can look out for each other. Mm-hmm. They can basically go, okay, imagine someone entering this room and suddenly all the parasites are aware of, okay, now we actually have a human here. Mm-hmm. Let's all be on our best behavior and what have you. Like, that's terrifying. Like an office building where it's like slowly but surely they fire all the humans and start replacing them with parasites, and it's like...
I got it. Best way for a parasite to blend in?
What?
Go bald.
Oh my god.
They can't pull out your hairs if you don't
have any. Brilliant! The thing is, though, is that bald people that are, like, younger, like, stick out like a sore thumb.
Oh, no, I know. Yeah. That was facetious.
Yeah, I got that. But, okay. I really want some good stuff with Murano also as well. Because she's having to handle the fact that Shinichi is different. And I also want some really good stuff with, in some ways, like the whole dynamic of Migi, like, trying to.
What?
I'll just wait for the episode and see what happens.
One of the things I would like to see though is if they continue the whole deal with Mitsuo, because they addressed him fairly nicely in the previous episode, and he may have heard Shinichi talking about, his dealio with Kana. Mm-hmm. So that is a thing that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, thank you for watching the intro portion of this video. So be sure to go check out the reaction portion of this video in the description below, and then come back here for the discussion. Okay.
All right.
Lots of different perspectives and things happening this episode.
Yeah, a lot of stuff was covered this episode. They dealt with the aftermath of the previous episode, which was really good. Mm-hmm. And they also showed how things have developed both with Tamiya Ryoko and with the politicians, and that they have these designated feeding grounds already.
Yep.
So they're moving quickly. But then also they've taken notice of Shinichi. And the funny thing here is that because of how things have gone, right? They don't want him to leave more samples for the government. Makes total sense.
Yeah.
So the best thing they can kind of do is stay away from him, give him a wide berth, like leave him alone, But now there's this whole thing of the fact that Tamiya Ryoko hired a private investigator that is a human. Right, which totally makes sense
because he would be invisible.
Right, he'd be invisible.
He has to be human.
Right, exactly.
He can't be a parasite.
Yep. But that causes certain potential issues, and man, can I say this guy is dedicated to his job, because after what he saw and after almost dying, he still goes back and watches his house. I would have not done that, shall we say?
Okay,
but,
so yeah. when we saw him get that look, though, in his eyes of, like, he's going to be hiding something, I think he's now, like, deathly curious. Like, it's the thing of, like, this is going to shape the career of my life. This is going to shape my life forever. I have to. Like, the world deserves to know something like this, but I need proof. I need...
Sure, so, and that could be what it is that he's he lost his proof because the camera
was destroyed,
so now he's going back to get that proof.
And he's being safer. He's going during the daytime. He's in some ways he's actually a little bit safer because of his
because of his injuries.
His injuries, yeah. He garners a little bit more attention. He stands out. So people will notice him more by him being there. In some ways that makes his spying a little bit more obvious.
Right.
And Shinichi also was able to notice his haggard
Shinichi
breathing.
Knows. Yeah. Well, right, exactly. I mean, Shinichi knows that there's someone watching him, and he knows that he's curious enough or dumb enough or whatever you want to call it to go and still try and get evidence.
Yeah, he's pretty stupid. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And the fact that Shinichi didn't go and kill him that time, I mean, he's not going to be thinking about that, though. Like, he's just going to be thinking about the fact that the investigator, like the fact that Shinichi saw him and was like, wait, listen, hear me out.
Yeah. Nah, he's just scared silly. He saw something he didn't understand.
Right.
And it's trying to kill him.
Yeah. But they broached the subject that we've kind of been waiting for them to broach, which is when Migi decides that someone needs to die and Shinichi does not agree.
Yes, what happens?
Right. And the whole thing
saw
of like
that here.
Yep, of Migi, separating from Shinichi, not having the weight, the mass to cut him in half,
Right.
But then being like, I can't go that much farther because I still need to stay close to Shinichi. I need to be able to reattach to my host and everything. I can only be apart for so long.
Or I'll die.
Right, exactly. So, it's a really fun dynamic because it's a thing where it's a contradiction. They're stuck with each other, and yet they have vastly different opinions of how something should go. And in some ways, I could almost like, and maybe this is just me, and Migi in a way is like really stubborn because Migi has, his own idea of what's the best way to do things. Because he's objective and all that stuff, and because of that, it's. I could imagine it would be rather hard to convince Migi to change his mind or its mind.
Sure.
But the idea of like, hey, so we have, because of what happened the other night, we need
to talk about that.
We need to talk about that. We need to figure out what we're going to do because the clock is ticking now. Right? We won't be able to stay here forever.
Yep.
And there's going to come a point where we're going to have to pick sides, but also decide what we're going to do because we won't be able to stay hidden here forever. At the very least, we'll have to move, disappear, go somewhere else, leave the country,
whatever.
Right. But also potentially, because the secret's out there now, maybe we can discuss getting allies among people that would potentially trust us. And in the case of, in the case of, say, Murano, she's becoming a problem because she knows that something's up, and we're not telling her.
Right.
Maybe if we tell her, we can, you could even spin it as a, let's engage that human sympathy weakness and whatnot, and assuming that we're able to make it so that she's not so terrified as to do, something like go to the police or the government.
Right.
Then maybe we can do something about that,
Sure.
Yeah.
But in this case, we've reaffirmed something that I think is good to have very present in our minds, and that is that Shinichi, because of the way he's changed physically and in some ways taken some of the benefits of both the parasite and human and kind of merged it into this new being that he is by having the little microscopic parasites and stuff all throughout his his system and what have you, he is now the stronger one in the dynamic between him and Migi. Like, way more so.
Sure.
He can do things now when Migi is asleep. He can resist Migi pulling him with all his strength in a specific direction to kill someone and save that person's life.
Right.
Which means in some ways we might go back to the old way of Migi being a little bit antagonistic towards Shinichi, where he'll need to use other methods to make Shinichi do what he needs to do.
Right, because he can't just
physically force him.
Exactly.
Now.
Yep.
So that's the whole thing. Well, I hope they talk to each other, because there's been some really cool moments in this show where people are just good communicators about things that need to be talked about. And other times not so much, because people are stupid sometimes. But the thing is that when those moments happen, like with Shinichi and Migi, for instance, it's like, oh my God, that's awesome. Good communication stuff. So yeah.
The whole thing with Murano, it's a little bit tough to buy, because I get the feeling that Shinichi would, or I mean, maybe he wouldn't be aware of exactly when Migi went to sleep, but I feel like he would have something where it's like, okay, Migi went to sleep within 10 minutes or so of this time. I've got 4 hours from there.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell her, oh, I'm running close to the deadline, whatever.
I've got an easy explanation for that. Just because you're tired doesn't mean you're forced to fall asleep. It's the idea that, like, when someone is really tired and they're in deep REM, right? They're in full regeneration mode. You're getting everything back to normal. If someone was loud banging up, making lots of noise and stuff, like banging pots together or what have you, outside your sleeping environment, you could still wake up.
Sure.
The idea that Shinichi was so emotionally distraught, so much just like, no, you don't understand. Like, he was so like emotional about this that Migi might have woken up early because of that whole thing. And it was like, yeah, I should have another hour, or I should have another 2 hours even. But Migi might have woken up because of that. And now Migi, also because maybe Migi knows about the whole does Migi know about the whole Kana thing?
What do you mean? The fact that he told her? Yeah, he knows.
Yeah, so he might be trying to work himself in such a way to where he can pop open just for a little bit to observe what's going on while he sleeps.
That is a possibility.
If I were Migi, I would try to get a way to do that where it's like, okay, don't let him know that I'm awake, but just kind of like, just let myself get a little bit of a awareness of what's going on.
But the idea of like Migi being woken up, it seems like they've said that doesn't really work, because there's times when Shinichi's life has been in danger and Migi hasn't woken up, or when
that is true.
Smacked the hand against the concrete wall and nothing happened. But and the other thing
stimuli shouldn't have woken him up,
right? But
maybe
and if that's the case, then he could just tell her again and be like, there was a reason I couldn't have told you last time, right? Just on another day, be like, okay, right now.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen in this episode.
No, I know. But if the thing is that if Shinichi really wanted to tell her, the thing is that he might not. But if he really wanted to tell her, he still could quite easily.
Right. But will she accept that? That's why I like this scene, is that because he's in this situation, because he keeps doing things that are cold towards other people's feelings and stuff, he keeps pushing people away without noticing it. So when he ends up coming back to school and everything like that, and he's acting all normal, we have people like Tachikawa being like, you know what happened, right?
Right.
Why is he acting so normal? I love that is a thing that people just kind of have this like, because that's normal. Like, people have these assumed constructs based on how people should respond because of XYZ.
Truly normal people are abnormal.
Truly,
because Shinichi is being so normal, and of course Migi doesn't pick up on it because he's like, no, you're being good and normal, right? But that's
sure.
He's not supposed to be being normal right now, or at least normal.
He's supposed to be Shinichi,
right? Yeah.
Because Shinichi wasn't even normal, so to speak, in the quote unquote sense before he was like this. He was, if anything, a little bit of a nervous kind of kid who was super shy and introverted and didn't have a lot of ways of expressing his emotions and feelings and stuff. And
if anything, it feels like it feels ironic that Migi talked about how the powers of perception, or no, that was Ryoko talking about how the powers of perception of the humans were so limited, and yet the humans are picking up on all these things that the parasites are absolutely not picking up on.
Right. It's the idea of having a CGI character right now in your live action movie there's this uncanny valley area where you just kind of go, something's off about you.
Well,
it's the ears. They can't look at anything specifically, but in this case, it's on an emotional level.
Sure.
And these people are in relationship with them, and they've spent a lot of time with them, so it's even more so.
Right. Yeah. Which is like, I don't know if they'll ever get into it, but the conversation of, hey, Migi, the best way we can blend in is if you can at least pretend to understand the idiosyncrasies of humans,
But that would involve him doing the thing that he seems as useless, which is studying a language that no one speaks anymore.
Well, right.
It's the equivalent of him being like, okay, so what am I supposed to do? Go online and read up on Latin? That's how it feels to him.
And that's why I find Migi so interesting, is because when he talks about all the things that Shinichi would do, he's like, that's useless, right? That's entirely useless. Why would you do that? And yet it actually would be one of the most useful things they could do here, because it would help them blend in.
Oh, sure.
So, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that won't change the fact that Migi is different than the stuff that's changed within Shinichi. Migi and Shinichi are two separate entities.
Oh, yeah.
The stuff that is in Shinichi that has affected his heart, that has affected his personality in such a way, is that little bits of Migi that are all throughout him now that healed him, essentially. So it's not something that, even if Migi helped understand, all that would do is would help him in these types of situations with the investigator, because he wouldn't try to kill him necessarily. They would like restrain him, and then he'd be like, no one's gonna believe you. Go out there, do what you will, but if you do anything to us, then we'll threaten you with whatever. But then the stuff with Murano would still happen, other than the fact that he would be able to tell Murano without the fear of Migi then freaking out, unless they have some kind of conversation.
I think even if he didn't tell Murano, you would... if Migi basically did enough research, even if he didn't personally possess human emotion, right? But he got to the point where with enough pattern matching, he was able to understand human emotion, right? Then he'd be able to basically say, "Oh, yeah, Shinichi, you're doing this or you're not doing this. Most humans go through this grieving process." Yeah, exactly. Just at least so that Shinichi, because his body's changing, the mindset and everything, and his mainframe for how he goes about acting is compromised right now in a way that he doesn't get because he's within that system, right? The system that's new. So
God, that's such a disgusting thought, though. The idea that basically Shinichi's only hope now is to embrace his sociopathy and basically do what most functioning sociopaths do, which is just mimic. They just pretend,
right?
And they act like they have human emotion and what have you. And then it would end up being a thing where people would go, "Oh, good, you're actually seeming like a human now, but you still don't seem like Shinichi anymore." He can't go back to the way and coach and study Shinichi to end up being like that.
Shinichi?
Like, he would be a different person. And the thing is that might work. He might blend in, and people would just have to accept that this is the new Shinichi. And he could probably do something.
He could probably pass it off fairly well.
He could probably pass it off really well if he went and engaged their sympathies regarding the fact that his mother died.
Sure, yeah.
But
there's...
But he doesn't do that because he's not aware that that's even a thing that he should be bringing up.
Yeah,
which shows just how different and why everyone notices like how different he is.
Right.
Like,
it's tough because it's one of those things where, like, from a narrative perspective, they're milking a lot of drama out of this. And the whole point of drama is that your characters aren't perfect, so they won't necessarily do the thing that is, perfect, like the optimal solution, right?
Well, they never do that.
No, I'm talking about characters, not people. Like, because sometimes characters will do that, right? But the whole point of drama is that your characters are people.
Sure.
So in this situation, while there are many things that Shinichi could do, and that Migi could do, and that Murano could do, right? They aren't doing those things because they're people, and because of that, there will be all these consequences.
Right.
The investigative person, being one prime example.
Yeah. But that's not necessarily milk. That's just regular life. Like, this is basically just the regular life thrown in with we have parasites now, so then how do people respond from that? And then
right, and they're bringing the regular life even into the parasites.
Yes,
which is what I find interesting, because if they simply tried to present it as Migi being like this perfect entity kind of a thing, in that sense, and then he was just missing out on something that whatever, no problems came about because of that for Migi, then that'd be a lot less interesting to me. But the fact that Migi existing and behaving in this state is causing so much issues for the both of them,
sure,
that tickles me. So yeah.
Okay. Tamiyo Ryoko back in things, and she has a vision. She has a dream for the future of her kind, and she is somewhat of an alpha amongst amongst the parasites.
I was a little bit surprised that happened, because we didn't see her actually joining them. So
no. I think the thing is that she started them. These are just the people out in front doing their things.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, she might be like the head honcho of the whole thing.
Right.
She just couldn't be bothered because she's doing the important stuff, which is she's raising a human kid, y'all.
Well, and also
and not being very subtle about her.
Not at all.
Other parts there. But the thing is
limitations of parasites again.
Yes, but this is the thing. She's going to do experiments on the kid once it's older.
Yeah.
Y'all, like, she is dangerous.
I mean, she's already doing experiments in a way. It's just that she can't do very in-depth experiments because, the responses of the child are rather limited, shall we say.
Yes, it is in learning mode. It is in growing mode.
And it's funny because, like, so much of what parents do is kind of experimenting with their kids.
Oh, totally.
Because they don't know what they're doing, right? Yeah. So they're figuring out what works and what is this little creature,
and human beings are all so unique and different that it's like what works for one baby isn't going to work for another. And what have you.
Yep, absolutely. So it's a hilarious juxtaposition of both the chilling aspect of it, that these experiments could involve some very sinister things, and that she definitely does not see this as her child, right? It's just a meat
it's
sack.
A thing that she owns, basically. But also that she is a horrible parent in that she has no idea what she's doing,
right? Because but
I love though that she does have the sanity to go and do I'm a businesswoman, so I need a human person that will do the majority of the raising of the child.
And yet she doesn't, and again, it's that whole parasite thing of at least try and emulate human emotion so you don't stick out like a sore thumb.
Again, I think that it's a thing of where there's too much of a priority thing of where it's, why would you learn Latin? Like, no. Yeah.
Well, okay. Then if you're going to do that, don't have a human in your home that is consistently interacting with you in a way that will no doubt cause them to see what's going on.
Sure. She gets scared. It's like, I'm going to get another one then.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
I think in human beings we're really weird in that we have a weird tolerance for stuff that we don't understand. Like we tolerate way too much things that just don't make sense.
Because the thing is that we don't want to actually question it strongly enough in a way that could jeopardize our own everyday life, right?
Yeah.
Because we want to maintain our own status quo. And then we just try and avoid things that, that are like that.
And I think that's something that this show might bring up. The idea that like this woman, or what have you, she probably isn't going to be a problem ever. She just goes back to her everyday life and goes, I met a really scary lady.
I stopped working for that
lady. Stopped working for her. She's creepy. Because like there's weird stuff out there. Reality is stranger than fiction.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
So we've got Shinichi dealing with his own internal stuff right now. We had a confrontation scene at the end of the episode that tells us a little bit about where the future of their relationship is going to be.
And more importantly, also the future of the relationship with Shinichi and Migi. Because in the same way that the Kana episode, previously, we got the aftermath here, that needs to have an aftermath. The fact that Shinichi and Migi were... because they were so opposed with each other, they took they chose option C, which was even worse.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Because Shinichi would have tried talking to the guy, whatever, or something. Migi would have killed him. Either one of those would have been preferable to what happened here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And how we're left with everything spiraling out of control and Shinichi's mental state being frayed and
Yep.
That's not good. I almost want him to go have a retreat at that town he visited.
Oh,
the one with the really sweet lady and
Yeah.
the girl, and then the wholesome boy who had the parasite chin, you know.
Oh yeah, well I mean Shinichi at this point should just like, I don't know, disappear. Like
Yeah, but his dad.
Well, yeah, his dad.
He's got
right.
family.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. But like I'm curious to see if Migi brings that up of this place is not safe anymore because that person's out there. We need to go. Like we can deal with this whole thing of the fact that we had that spat and that brought us into this situation, but we're here now. What are we gonna do?
Yep. What are you gonna do, Shinichi?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? So y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length reactions there. And all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us about these stories, about anime in general. You can get involved with the community there. There's a bunch of fun events and stuff going on. And you can also talk with Jacob, published author, about his book.
Yes, my sci-fi novel Battle Lines is still available for order on Amazon. The link is in the description below, so go check it out. Leave a review. Let people know what you think.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.